Good morning. Thanks for joining me on another Arty adventure. My name's Tara Schrock. Last month, I had the wonderful privilege of traveling to North Carolina to be with my daughter, son-in-law, and soon for the first couple of weeks of life of my granddaughter. As if that wasn't adventurous enough, I did squeeze in a little nature and arty adventuring time as well. Here we are at the Northeast Creek Park in Jacksonville, North Carolina. There is a beautiful nature trail that goes alongside the ocean finger. There are places to fish from the shore. There's a wonderful boat launch. And also there are alligators. I never did see an alligator. I just saw lots of signs warning people to watch out for the alligators. There are also so many birds. So this was the last week of April, and spring was going full force at this time in North Carolina. It was a wonderful place to get out for an easy walk and enjoy the beautiful nature around this estuary. I did stop right here. There was a little bench facing this creek that you're seeing right now. And I did stop there and get out my sketchbook thinking I would do a little painting, which I did, but only for a few minutes. It was very windy and it was kind of distracting. The bench was located so close to the edge of the creek, and there was a big sign saying to watch out for alligators there. So I didn't end up sitting there and doing a complete painting. I just got a little painting started. A little further into the video, you will see the nature journal spread that I completed based on this little nature hike. I just barely scratched the surface of learning a little bit more about the birds that I heard that day. This fern that you just saw me touch was the softest and most beautiful fern I think I've ever seen. Psalm 65:8 says, "The whole earth is filled with awe at your wonders. Where morning dawns, where evening fades, you call forth songs of joy." Join me now as we look a little more closely at a few of the birds we heard that day. So here's my first nature journal spread from the little Arty adventure visiting the North Creek Park. There were so many birds. So many birds. Everywhere you looked, there was movement in the treetops, movement in the undergrowth. There were birds out visible flying over the estuary itself. It was just alive with bird activity. It was like a birder's paradise. Unfortunately, I did not have binoculars with me, so I relied heavily on using the Merlin app for picking up the different birds' songs for identification purposes. This is just a partial list. I left out the very common birds that I was hearing, like cardinals and blue jays, robins. So here's my list of birds that were not common to me. A fish crow, northern flickers, we do sometimes get those here in Indiana. Eurasian collared dove, northern mockingbird, chimney swifts, osprey, the northern parula, Carolina wren, blue-gray gnatcatcher, a pine warbler, prothonotary warbler, a white-throated sparrow, Carolina chickadee, and a brown-headed nuthatch. So the birds that I chose to investigate further in my nature journal so far were the northern parula. I had never even heard of that bird before. So that was one of the first ones that I looked up to learn about. And here's what I learned. The northern parula is a small warbler with white eye crescents, and they like to hang out in the treetops of deciduous forest if they're in the south, and pine forest if they're in the north. The thing that must be present for the parulas to want to hang out is some type of tree moss. And that was just so interesting to me, because here in Indiana, we don't see a lot of tree moss, but there in North Carolina, it is everywhere you look. So you will see that, or I suppose you've already seen that in the previous video. The other two birds that I did a little investigating on were pine warblers and the prothonotary warbler. What I learned about the pine warbler is that they are the only type of warbler that will sometimes visit a bird feeder because they are looking for seeds, specifically the seeds off of pine trees, but that's why once in a while they will visit a bird feeder. And also learned that the prothonotary warbler is a cavity nester, and they often take over a vacated woodpecker's hole that they have made. So that was really interesting to me. I did just a small little watercolor thumbnail of the view where I had sat down on the bench at the edge of the little stream that was coming off of the main part of the estuary. So the other birds that I would like to do a little spread about and learn more about are the brown-headed nuthatch, the Eurasian collared dove. I don't think I have ever drawn or painted a mourning dove of any type, and it is kind of hard to decide. I think the blue-gray gnatcatcher, that's another bird that I am not very familiar with.